Cisco 49 is deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't get it twisted, one and all with prime time. John Taylor, Jerry Rice.
It's the 49er Faithful UK show. Week 10, and the Niners went to Jacksonville and came back wearing Jaguar skin coats. It's the welcome return of Victory Monday after a comprehensive 34-3 win, that was the score, Martin, with a much improved performance at every level. I'm Gareth Ellis, and I am joined by Lee Gowland.
Hey guys.
Paul Hope.
Purdy good, Gareth. Purdy good at last.
He's back. He's back.
He's back. And Najee Kouar.
Hello, everyone.
So, gotta love that victory feeling, lads. I think there were some mini-meets at the weekend. I think the victory was shared by Niner Faithful actually together in the same place. Did any of you guys get to go up?
No, I was at work, and then, we got stuff planned this weekend coming. Don't know if you heard, but it was a bit of a hard sale going.
Yeah, fair point.
Spent a bit of time with the family. I actually missed the whole first half, so yeah.
Yeah, I had wanted to go to the Wakefield one, but I had a hospital appointment first thing this morning, so I couldn't go.
Yeah.
There would have been a fifth meet-up, Gareth, if we weren't going to the gold mine, but I'll let El Presidente down. And like Lee said on someone's post I've seen, that's what this group's all about. It was epic to see those meet-ups. I probably would have gone to Glasgow because I've been to one at that committee room number 9 before. However, seeing the state of Martin Hughes this morning, I'm glad I didn't go because I am not drinking at the moment, and I don't know how many fireballs that they sank last night, Lee. But I saw quite a few pictures on Twitter, and it looked one hell of a night.
Yeah,
too many is the number for sure. Yeah, well done, everyone. That's awesome to see, and well attended. Last minute Sky game, blah blah blah. Well played. That's great. I love it, and
Absolutely.
More of that.
Yeah, and well done to the organisers. It might not seem like it takes much, but it does. It takes a little bit of organising, and it takes somebody stepping up and putting themselves out there to organise it. So well done to you guys. Have you lads had a chance to do your homework this week? Your 3 talking points?
Yeah, certainly have.
I'm going to start with Lee because he promised me he's done his homework.
Yeah. So 3 talking points for me is John Feliciano, Trent Williams, and the negated fumble recovery touchdown.
Paul?
Well, I've gone for turnovers because coming into this one, Gareth, I said that interceptions were going to be key, and the fact that we scored more turnovers than the Jags scored points proved telling. The run game for both teams, which I'll get into later on. And I was toying between Steve Wilkes, but I thought, all you guys will already have Wilkes on your sheet. So my 3rd talking point is getting to the QB. And again, I'll get into that a little bit further on. So there you go, buddy. That's my homework done.
Well done.
Very nice.
And Najee?
Still Wicks on sideline works. Steve Wicks on the sideline works. And my 3rd point is Steve Wicks on the sideline works.
That sounds like you've copied somebody else's homework, to be honest. But something similar for me. Sideline Steve schemes up secondary step up. That was a good one. Farmer Brock feeds the offense with bountiful Jacksonville harvest. And not so much of a talking point, but just something I'd love to see is Shani having to ball himself out for the poor sideline discipline. Overlaps a little bit there with one of Lee's. Where should we start?
Was he on the field? Was he on the field? You're muted, but
yeah.
Oh, that's more.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
not your boy.
Yeah, he was actually more on the field than anybody else was.
He
was the furthest on there.
Well, let's talk that first, since it was one of Lee's point, and we're into it now.
So it's exactly what Gareth said. It was just pure discipline. What would have happened if we needed that particular touchdown to win us the game? Yeah. You just can't allow that to happen. It's amateur hour.
Yeah.
In defence, though, it looked as if the play was over.
Yeah,
obviously the way he got the tackle and the ball was around, and he seemed to take forever to get back up.
It
and
did.
Then at that point, when he got back up, what were the 2 Jags players doing beside him? All it needs is one of them to touch him. And then at that point, Lee, you're right. I think Shanahan's thought, oh, crap, I need to get off of here. So he can't ball out the rookies, because I know the 2 rookies were joined on the field with him. But at one point, what you've got to love about this wonderful game of the NFL, I had no reason why it was called off, because I have the Niners D in all my fantasy teams. So I was late around the front room thinking, the points I'm going to get. And then the commentators were like, it's coming back, but they couldn't explain why it was coming back. And I was like, it was just... Anyway, it was one of those things. And it didn't cost us, Lee. So rather it happened in a blowout victory.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right.
Exactly.
You're right in what you're saying. It's amateur hour. For one of
It is.
Yeah.
It's not good. But yeah, Ambry Thomas was on the floor for what seemed to be forever.
he was, but the player wasn't blown dead.
Yeah, no, you should. Or I mean, it's rule number 1 when you play the game. You play to the whistle. That's
exactly.
What a play it was
Absolutely.
as well, Najee. The fact that he got the
great
tackle,
play.
he got the fumble, he picked it up, and then he ran it all the way. I was like,
yeah, it's pretty good. It's a good play. Yeah, I mean, it's, as you say, I think we can look at it now, and considering it wasn't a blowout, it's pretty funny. We can laugh about it. But if this happened in a game, we need it.
Exactly.
It's a different story. I mean, we still get the ball back. I quite liked it because I learned something. You know, it's an unsportsmanlike conduct on a play that's live, so it's not a dead ball foul. You learn about rules in the NFLs and stuff, so it's overall a very interesting play altogether. But yeah, you're right. It shouldn't happen, especially from your head coach. That's not great.
Yeah, I think that a few people were rather glad, I think, that Shani had done that. If he stayed on the sideline and they'd gone out.
Imagine if it's just Steve Wilkes by himself on the side on the field. The amount of oh god, that would have been
back in the booth, Steve.
You go back upstairs, please.
Yeah, good. Glad we can laugh about it now. Turnovers, I think that was another talking point. Should we stick with those, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I did my homework before the game. The Jags were tied for 18, and I said that turnovers would be key. Trevor Lawrence does have a tendency to give the ball away, but it was great to see. I mean, Steve Wilkes has come under a lot of pressure for being in the booth, but I don't think him just being on the sideline, as Najee said, was the difference. I think the adjustments he made, the fact that he moved Lenore, he put Thomas in there. It was great to see Hufanga. Whenever there's a loose ball, Hufanga just seems to be stood in space, and the ball just comes to him. Fred Warner got a pick, and the fact that if you win the turnover battle in the NFL, and we won it 4-0, just goes to show good things happen. As Paul Hope says, Gareth, good things happen.
Good. They do. Yeah, good to see winning the turnover battle. Couple of interceptions and a couple of good fumbles. I think forced fumbles as well, rather than offensive player fumbles, if there is such a difference. But great to see us get those. I think certainly with Bosa's, he was the only person on the entire stadium who realised there'd been a fumble and he got it. So that was a very pleasant surprise when it suddenly, hang on, we've got the ball.
Well, it makes a difference from last year, Gareth. Remember, boss, I think it was the Cardinals or the Seahawks, and he's doing his celebration and the ball was spinning loose, where at least it's shown, like you said, he dived in it, and Young and Bosa together. Trevor Lawrence is going to have nightmares of those two. Yeah. It was amazing. I don't know if you've seen the picture. I think it's Hargrave on there. There's the three of them just crashing down on him. And I think someone tweeted out and said, hang it up in the Louvre. Already I've seen talk on Twitter. People want Ayuk gone. They want Chase Young signed to an extension. Nothing like an overreaction from our fan base. But
yeah. Well, turnover, yeah. I mean, we created some, but more importantly, Brock stopped creating some himself, and I think that's key. Even though that first touchdown, I think we all lost about 10 years of our lives. Please, Brock, stop throwing across the field like this. It was a hairy, but it was pinpoint to Ayuk. I don't think anybody else could have caught it. When you win 4-0 and you don't turn the ball over, it turns into a blowout. It's great. It's great to see. And I had 50% of my boldies ish, kind of. I just said 2 picks. I just got the second player wrong. But I'm happy that Huff is showing up. It's good.
It's Fred reminding you, never count him out.
Yeah. I should have said Fred and Huff. I should know better.
My one of my points, let's stick with this, was on the secondary. I think you mentioned it there, and it ties into obviously Steve Wilkes, not just where he was in the stadium, but he did seem to listen to the last podcast and made a little bit of a defensive adjustment with Isaiah Oliver getting 3 snaps, I think, at the end of the game. And Ambry Thomas, who came in and I must say is possibly up there for my match game MVP award. I thought he put in a good performance, couple of mistakes, but I think he put in a solid afternoon's work. What did you make of the whole rejigged secondary? It stunned you.
Yeah.
Go on, mate.
Yeah, so I think he did the right thing. I mean, obviously, Oliver hasn't been playing particularly well. Something had to happen there. As I said in the chat last night, Chivarius Ward, he's always good for a flag of 10. I think he needs to cut that out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But Ambry Thomas, I thought he was excellent. Thought it was really good.
Yeah, considering he hasn't played in a live game for quite some time. And it was a bit weird to see him disappear after the 2020 season when he played the second half, essentially, sealed with a pick against the Rams to get us to the playoff. We all remember that. And then he just didn't play last year, 2021. I can't remember now. It's all jumbled into one. But yeah, it's good to see him back. It's good to see Demo in the slot. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for them to readjust to speed and readjust to the new position for Demo. He did look a little bit iffy at some points, but it looked better than with Oliver, and that's what we wanted to see. And then, yeah, Mooney is, I mean, that one in the end zone, the deflection, that's what we accustomed to see him do. But yeah, he just needs to cut down on the flags a little bit. Although some of them are really harsh.
Yeah, they were. To be
some
fair.
of them are really, really harsh.
Yeah.
But you know, it is what it is. It's very hard to do 2 back-to-back season and being good. At least we didn't sign J.C. Jackson. You know, I think he's a better player than J.C. Jackson because they were both free agents on that same year. So you know, it's good. And then Hoff with the pick, Gibson's solid. I thought the tackling was a lot better from our secondary. I know Demo missed a couple, but it was a lot better. I think Ofanga finished second with 8 tackles, and it just made a difference. They scored 3 points, you know, so very good, much better.
I was going to say, Gareth, it was like they listened to you, though, because you had Engram as a danger man, and Gibson played really well on the tight end, I thought. And there was a slight worry when it looked like the Jaguars were going for the screen plays quite a lot, and they seemed to get a few bits of positive yardage. But again, we made the necessary adjustments. You could argue Wilkes being on the sideline, getting that message across. And for me, the defensive player of the year, Fred Warner, is just proven better and better. You just see what he does to command that defence. And when our front four get after the quarterback, it makes the secondary's job very easy. And I think they've got to get the credit, and I'm glad you started with the secondary rather than the front four, because we did say Christian Kirk is a handful at wide receiver, and the fact that they only scored 3 points. The Jacksonville Vans headed out early into that game. I've seen the video footage of them coming out. Chapman was at his rush road trip there, but I've seen a great video of a Jags fan, and he's got his phone out and he's like, "It's your house, 49ers. It's your house. See you later. Look after it." And it seemed the banter was quite good, but I think the writing was on the wall from early on that this wasn't going to be the emotional roller coaster. And I think we were all grateful for it, Gareth.
Yeah.
Yes, nice Sunday, so.
It was exactly the performance that we needed.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Totally. Definitely. Yeah.
You've segued very smoothly, I think, into the pass rush while we stick with the defense. This was it Lee's? QB sacks?
It wasn't mine for sure.
No, geez. I scribbled them down, but didn't note down who said what.
It was Paul's, but I'm happy to talk about it.
Go on,
yeah,
then.
Chase Young's pretty good, isn't it? He's massive as well.
He's a big
It's
lad.
crazy how big.
Yeah.
He's so big. It's insane. But yeah, no, I mean, it came. I saw somebody writing it on Discord. Is you get a sack, and you get a sack, and you get a sack. Everybody's getting involved, and that's what you want to see. It's perfect. Both are getting 1.5. Chase with the half. Clayton Farrell, you know, because that's what happens when all the offensive line have to worry about a Chase Young and a Hargrave and a Bosa. All of a sudden, the other people get to go one-on-one and win that matchup and get in there. So yeah, it was perfect. But I think us playing better in the secondary made that happen rather the other way around. Trevor Lawrence held on to the ball a lot longer than he wished to, I think, and that's what created the pass rush opportunity. But that's what all football on defense looks like. You know, sometimes the pass rush gets there fast, sometimes the coverage holds on, and ultimately what the result is a sack with fumbles, and because a good thing happens when you get to the QB and you hit him from behind and stuff like that. So yeah, it was good to see, and yeah, seeing Chase Young and Bosa getting at the same, having the exact same pattern of rushing and getting to Trevor Lawrence at the same time, which results in a fumble. It was beautiful to see, and I mean, I hope we can sign him to an extension. I hope he wants to stay. I think we made a good impression on him. I think he might want to stay.
So Jason Hurley, who does all the cap numbers, so he's posted within the last couple of hours, I think, and he's worked out what a deal for Chase Young would look like, and the fact that we'd still keep all of our core players.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think it's impossible, considering we've got 41 million now, and the cap's probably going to go up again.
Yeah.
It's just whether he really wants a big contract, and we obviously have Ayuk to pay and all that kind of stuff. It's but yeah, I bet he'll take a 1 year friendly deal.
You need to remember, at the end of this season, we were going to be 40 million over the cap anyway, which is why we're keeping that 40 million.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
We're not over the cap.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Gareth, the reason I wanted to talk about this coming into it was linked with Lawrence and Purdy. So you look at the stats, Nadji, as much as Trevor Lawrence has been good and everyone was jumping on the Jags bandwagon, Kyle Brandt, Good Morning Football, he's had to eat humble pie. He enjoyed watching that at dinner time. He came out and apologised. He was like, why are the Niners favoured in this one? Trevor Lawrence has been great. Lawrence has only been pressured about 29% of his dropbacks this year. And boy, have we waited for a game like this where our front got after him. And where Purdy has been pressured 38% on his, which is the 12th highest. And again, I think Purdy showed for that touchdown to Kittle how he got that out. I never know. It looked like the pocket was collapsing. Then the ball just popped out and Mr. Kittle was like, thank you very much. And Baldy has shared a video where Shanahan just turns around. As soon as Kittle catches it, Shanahan's celebrating. And that's awesome. And that's what I love about the NFL. Just go and watch Baldy's breakdowns. He's broke down Chase Young. He's broke down Bosa. Hargrave, you could argue, Nadji, it was his best game.
Definitely.
49er. Eric Armstead was everywhere on that field. They even resorted to trying to trip him up. At one point, it looked like he was going to be injured, but Armstead himself has came out and said there was a bit of chirping on the field. And they seemed hungry. Our defence seemed hungry and wanted to prove a point. And that's why I put it in my notes, like getting to the QB. It seems very straightforward to maybe new people watching the NFL, but good things happen if you get to the QB. And like you said, Nadji, Trevor Lawrence held on to that ball far too long. I don't think he'll be making that mistake if he plays against us again.
No, it won't. No, it was good, and you could see from the get-go, I think from the Hargrave sack, which was the first one of the game, Fred is behind and celebrating at the same time, and Farrell is there, and they're all happy and jumping around. And this is what we're used to, not just, you got a sack, you go and line up again. And you could see the energy build up, and they were angry and hungry for some more as well. That defense played with a chip on his shoulder, and it showed, and they responded. I think it was a good test. I think the Jags are a good team, and they did nothing. It was a perfect performance, as Lee said a minute ago.
Before we move on, though, Gareth, the stat numbers: 9 quarterback hits, 5 sacks, as Nadji said, 3 tackles for a loss, a forced fumble, and a hit that directly led to an interception. So people keep saying, "Where's this 49ers D line?" There's your answer.
Yeah, there you go. I hope they can keep it up. That's what we're used to.
Any final words on the D, Lee?
What I was impressed with was Yvonne Hargrave was triple teamed a couple of times, and each time he was triple teamed, he was still pushing them all back.
Yeah, he's strong.
He is very strong, very strong indeed. Very strong.
Yep.
So, should we switch sides, if I can say that?
Easy for you, sir.
Easy. And go over to the O-line, or certainly the offence. Let's start with the O-line, Lee. Back to you. You mentioned a couple of O-line names.
So I'll do Trent Williams first, because this will be quick. There's only one player that I want to talk about. And I've already forgotten what you call the guy that was on defence for the Jags. I know he was number 31. That's it, number 31.
Dawkins?
I think it might be, yeah. I have never ever seen a player run away.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's happened to me in the past when you see linemen coming towards you. It's just like, business decision. Nah, I'm good.
you know when someone said
That's
I
exactly
could
what
play
it was.
corner on the goldmine post, Lee? That's what would
Yeah.
happen if Paul Hope played corner and Trent
Yeah.
Williams was running towards me. I'd be like,
Just thrown
no,
out of
thank
bounds.
you.
I'm good.
I
Go
just
that
thought
way.
that was hilarious. I absolutely
Yeah, it was
loved
brilliant.
that. Yeah. And the other one is John Feliciano. I thought he was excellent last night.
Yeah, he played. I think
Yeah.
he was our best lineman. Brendan
I
had a
did.
really
Yeah,
good
yeah.
game too, but Feliciano,
Yeah.
yeah, really solid. To the point where I was thinking, can Aaron Banks play right tackle? Because that would,
So I don't think it's right tackle that we need to replace. I think it's Spence Burford.
Burford had a really good game too.
He hasn't had a good season though.
No,
has
that's
struggled.
true. But he had a good game.
Yeah.
He had a
Yeah.
very good game yesterday. But yeah, I slated him during the preseason. Feliciano. When he was playing center, which is a little different, but he wasn't good.
Actually,
And-
as I recall, you didn't think he'd make the roster.
Yeah, I cutted him in my 53.
Yeah.
I put my hand up. But yeah, no, great game. Maybe even than Banks has ever been.
Well, that links to one of the points I put, Gareth, about the run game. We struggled
Smooth.
with the run game for the last 3 weeks, and Trent Williams was questionable, and that man can move. Christ almighty. You talk about Hargrave being a unit and being a muscle. When Trent Williams can get into space in that second level for blocking, I don't know about you three, but sometimes I was thinking, Trent, just take a play off. Don't injure that ankle. We need you for other weeks. But he seemed to get stronger as the game went on. And Christian McCaffrey is amazing, but when he's running behind those gaps, and we said it a couple of weeks ago, what he's added to his game, CMC, is he waits. There was a couple of plays on Sunday where the ball was snapped to him. He waited for those guys to get into the second level. Then he attacked the hole, and obviously Nadji knows more than me about running back play, but watching that poetry in motion where he was cutting through in the holes. But the offensive line, a lot of people still showing a bit of hate for the offensive line, Gareth, so credit where credit's due. And I won't even attempt to pronounce that guy's name because them two chaps have done it better than me. But he played well.
He did. Good to see the run game getting a little bit back to itself. And as you said, I think Trent Williams, we can clearly see what a big part he is on that. I did think Brock was under pressure quite a lot of the game, and we have seen that. There is a slight concern there, I think, going forward, potentially when we face better defensive lines, that it might be a weak spot that people are obviously going to consider exploiting. And I think Shanahan needs to find a way around that. And I think there was a good example where we shut them down with the first two possessions. Then they had that long drive where they went to the screen pass. And it reminded me that we haven't seen a huge amount of that. And we haven't seen the part of our offense that Jimmy ran very well, which was those short, quick slant passes over the middle. Whereas I think now Shanahan has been able to put those away and Brock's attacking much further down the field. I'd like to see the offense just have a little bit of that back and show that we can mix it up if we need it, and see if we can get back some of that stuff that we used to do very well, and we used to move the ball very consistently with those short 6, 7, 8 yard passes. And it's not necessarily a bad thing now that we're getting 15, 20 yard passes, but I do wonder if it's something that we may need to bring back into the scheme if the O-line is going to continue to struggle at times. I'm not saying it's a terrible performance, but as we mentioned a couple of times, Brock was clearly under pressure quite a lot of his dropbacks in that game.
Do you
Yeah,
not think
but
it helps Gareth that Shanahan trusts him fully?
Totally.
I mean, even that first throw, like you said, Nadji, that first throw, everyone was like, what's he doing throwing it back across his body? But Kyle Shanahan's allowing Brock that freedom to express himself. When we're talking about the offensive play, we said it on this show, and I'm smiling. Deebo Samuel adds another level to this offense, and the fact that he was back and they were motioning, they were in the bag of tricks. I called for 2 rushing touchdowns, like to settle for 1 with the end around. But Deebo Samuel, again, just shows what this team do. And I saw a tweet where it was all the receivers had, like, even Ronnie Bell got in on the act. So Brock Purdy is building chemistry with all of them. And I'm not worried. I mean, it was only his 14th regular season start. He's going to make mistakes. I think we've all accepted that. But that throw to George Kittle, I said it earlier, that was just amazing. And I just like to see Brock seems to have command of the offense. And even if he makes a mistake, he doesn't sulk about it. he gets back up. And as we said, Najee, the Brock Express was never derailed on this side of the pond. But it's been great to see loads of people jump back on board this week.
It's the Brock chip. Yeah, I just want to come back. Yeah, Brock was a bit under pressure, but I think the Jags D-line and pressure is vastly underrated. Trevor Walker and Josh Allen are very, very, very good. And they did create all those turnovers during these games because of the pressure that they've been able to get to. I think we showed ourselves pretty well considering how good they are. And again, this was the perfect performance for us to bounce back. Yes, the O-line looked like the pocket was collapsing at times, and that Brock had to escape, and we did allow a couple of sacks. But I think Jacksonville is a lot better than what they showed on Sunday. We just were much, much, much better, and we kind of stopped them from showing how good they were. But yeah, I mean, remember, it's not a train anymore, people. It's not the Brock Express. It's a rocket ship. It's going full speed into the wherever try and catch the telescopes or Voyager. But yeah, no, his start line is kind of very Brocky, isn't it? It's just 19 for 27 or whatever it is. Except that this time he's almost at 300 yards. It's usually not that high. And 3 TD. Well, I think he's equal the record. He's the only player to do that in more than 5 games or so. I think Kurt Warner is the only other player that did it in the first 2 seasons. It's insane the amount of rookie record and early player record he's breaking pretty much every week now. And if it wasn't for I can't remember which game he didn't score 2 touchdowns, he would still be on that streak of scoring 2 passing touchdowns every game. It's crazy. He's so good.
Do you know what's funny, Najee? My non-Niners friends are still saying Brock isn't very good. They're still hating. Before we came live tonight, I put a cheeky tweet out there saying, how are the haters doing? And 3 of them weren't even tagged in the tweet, have hit me up in messages straight away. And I'm like, rent-free, lads, how can you argue against what Brock Purdy's doing on the field? Like you said there, Najee, he's not turned the ball over against a good defense. He's scoring touchdowns. He's making plays. But I just think there's some people in our fan base were hooked up to Jimmy or hooked up to Trey. Some people are just so bad on Brock, they just won't admit it. And I think that's a bit sad. I mean, you and Lee were having a bit of banter about Justin Herbert last night in the group chat, go backwards and forwards. But this is another level with the Brock hate. But yeah, well, it was
Justin to shot for no reason. Justin Herbert's amazing. Come on, just leave him alone.
He's no Brock Purdy, though.
He's not.
I don't know. I think he's better, but
Wash your mouth out. You've been uncharacteristically quiet for 5 minutes, Lee.
I have. I've got nothing to say. I mean,
okay.
Nothing different from what other people have said.
Should we talk about the big disappointment? No TD for CMC, a freak occurrence. People have said they were trying too hard and risking injury by putting him in at the end. Personally, I think that's absolute rubbish.
We did try too hard, but
I think it's difficult when everybody knows exactly who the ball is going to.
Well,
yeah,
it's easy.
I was thinking, definitely. I was thinking we need to do something else than give it to CMC 4 times in a row. We should have schemed the play to get to the 1-yard line, and then you end up to CMC 4 times in a row. Not trying to get, I don't know how far we were, but we should have tried and schemed something. Misdirection, fake to CMC, give it to Juszczyk or whatever. He takes any other one, and then you hand it to him.
So when Juice got that touchdown, somebody did mention something. Yeah,
it was the broadcaster. Yeah.
Yeah, his momentum actually took him into the end zone. Otherwise, he might have gone down at the 1 yard line.
I think he might have tried. It would have been awesome from Juice.
Yeah.
No one's going to take that off Juice.
You mentioned CMC, though. He went to the podium and he was like, I'm rubbish. Everybody scored, not me. Smile on his face. I mean, 142 yards from 23 touches. And we took all the starters out. So we were trying to get him the record with Sam Darnold under center. I don't know about you 3, but I was like, please don't throw the ball, Sam Darnold. And then when he went to throw the screen, I did think for a split second, he's got it. And are we about to see another controversy on Twitter? Sam Darnold's better than Brock. He's thrown a touchdown. But the records are made to be broken. And as CMC and Brock Purdy have said, they'll just start it again on Sunday.
And
which I'm glad to know
he
that we're
is-
there
I
on
mean,
Sunday for the start of
he's
the
He's
new
tied.
year.
on the top, right?
He's
tied
tied for
the
the
record.
record. He just
so
doesn't.
he does have it. Yeah.
It's not one short
Yeah,
of the
but-
record. So
Yeah, it is what it is. 17 is pretty impressive. But yeah, you got 18 more games to try again. It's cool.
I must admit, I was hoping that we could have moved it a couple of yards further down the line, and we might have seen some sort of jumbo formation with Trent Williams
With
and
Trent.
Javon Hargrave as fullbacks, ploughing the way for McCaffrey to just saunter in behind them. I think I was just enjoying the game too much by that point and off into some bizarre fantasy land. But you can't deny that would have been fun.
That would have been great. That would have been great.
fun. Have we got anything else on the offense? We've barely talked. Debo, Ayuk, just their standard top quality games. And George, bit of a game from George, another 100-yard TD game. Half of
Just
it
a
on one
very-
play. But
Just a very
That's all he needs.
complete game, wasn't it? Everybody was involved, and I think Carl's listened to the pod again, and he's, juice touchdown. We've been asking for it. Where is all this gone? This is why we lose game, blah blah blah, and there it is. So, even third and Jawan. How long has it been since we've seen a third down conversion from Jawan Jennings, and he got a crucial one when it was 7-0 or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just perfect game.
just quickly, tough question for you. Can you pick a game MVP out of that? Because it was such a complete performance across the board. You can answer
Brock.
no if you like.
I mean, I'd give it to Brock because he was,
Brock.
perfect. No turnover, 3 touchdown, 300 yards. It's hard to do better.
I'll go Bosa just because a lot of people were talking the talk, and I think he showed on Sunday that he's been there. He's just got the sacks now to go with it. So I'll go Bosa just for a different voice of opinion. What about you, Lee? Who's your MVP from Sunday's blowout victory in Jacksonville?
Well, I'm actually going to say Hargrave because I think because he was taking up triple teams, he made it easy for Bosa and Chase Young.
That's a good point.
And like I
Just
said,
you now,
just
Gareth.
watching him actually push back 3 plays
Yeah.
was unbelievable.
Fantastic, some would say, Lee. Fantastic. Would you?
Well, it's been well documented that people would say that.
Some
It's
people.
hard
would
in
say that.
hand.
Well, it's good. I thought you might all pick someone different, and I've gone for Warner. I think he was back. He set the tone from those first couple of plays. I think the first play from scrimmage, he chased down Trevor Lawrence, and then I think the second play he made a big tackle, and he just sets that tone and brings that energy. But yeah, I think Hargrave definitely that's his best game as a Niner, and that's what we expected to get when we signed him. And I think this is the first time we've really been able to see what he's all about. Shall we? We will briefly do a quick player watch. Bit quiet for some of you. Anything on McKivitz? We talked about O-line.
I thought he had a good game again. I think maybe he was pushed back into Purdy. Other than that, no, I thought he was fairly solid.
I'd agree. I think he's got the lot of the O lineman where if you do your job well, no one really notices, and then you get beaten badly once, and it just really stands out. So
Well, to be honest, on a couple of the running plays, he did really well, blocking
Absolutely.
downfield.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're running right a lot better than we
Yeah.
did at the beginning of the season. So
catch Ronnie Bell
Just says
could be a sign he's going to get back more involved in the second half of the season. Are you hopeful, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the fact that you said before, Kittle 116 yards, Debo 59 yards, Ayuk 55 yards, Juice got 1, Jennings got 1. Ronnie Bell, it wasn't just a little dump off either, and he held it
He was
well. And
wide open.
It's shown. Yeah, he's shown that he's added something to the offense. He also took a couple of kickoff or punt returns towards the end when they were mixing stuff out. So it's just weird seeing number 10. I'm not going to lie. It is weird seeing number 10 flashing on the screen. But given where we drafted him, I think as a rookie, he'll be happy with his progress. So yeah, I must admit, Gareth, I did enjoy his reception and the fact that he handled it well. So it's always good to see.
I thought you would. And a good victory formation kneel down from Jordan Mason.
well, yeah. I mean, at this point, I was gonna ask you guys, should I pick somebody else because he's clearly not playing, and Mitchell is number 2 now. I think I should pick somebody else. Really,
I think you
I'm
should.
not.
Who
I'm
do you
not
want?
sure who. I'm not sure who.
Give it some thought. Once
Yeah.
again, I think Demo had an up and down game. I think he is struggling. I'm most surprised by his missed tackles. That was what I really jumped off the page to me at the end of last season, was how good he was in the tackling. I think he's maybe got that. I know it's his third year, but that second year as a starter, maybe that second year dip where you're perhaps trying a little bit too hard, maybe, and you're not relaxed. You're a bit too keyed up. He seems to overrun the ball carrier a couple of times, and they're able to get away from him. And it's a loose missed tackle. But I think he came into the slot quite well. He did get shown up a couple of times, but then you think of the amount of times Trevor Lawrence is holding the ball, and those are the plays where you don't see the secondary is covering tight and they're doing their job well. So I think a little bit of adjustment, I think, moving into the slot, but he's definitely got to tidy up those missed tackles. So, on to some more cheerful news. The score predictions table, lads. A little bit of movement this week, as I believe I've slightly clawed my way closer to being out of the basement. Is this true?
You
This
have.
wasn't mentioned in the group chat yesterday, Gareth. I was a little bit concerned that this wasn't mentioned at all.
Well, we won't repeat the slightly offensive remark Lee made about me, but I was genuinely, I will happily lose the points to get CMC that touchdown. I would have much preferred the CMC touchdown than my 2 points on this totally meaningless and rather silly game. But
Not that it's competitive, Gareth. I've warned you about that. I've warned you it's competitive.
Yeah, no, good. I think your tactic of thinking something and saying something different is working. You should keep doing that. And clearly, a point away. You must be a bit fuming, though. I mean, not that we could have scored 1 point at some point, but yeah. 5 points for everyone except Gareth. 7 point.
Oh, yeah.
So the leaderboard doesn't change, but it's getting a bit tighter, I guess.
So for those people listening rather than watching on YouTube, Najee, go on, do the honours. Give.
Well, I'm at the top.
Order.
I'm at the top with 42 points. Liam Paul second with 36, and Gareth fourth with 31 points. But it's close. It's 1 game away. It could all change. There you go.
Yeah. Keeping it tight for the end of the season.
Yeah,
we mentioned our boldies. I think we did quite well on our other predictions for the game.
Yeah. 2 picks. Kittle, Debo. I think we. What was your prediction, Lee? I can't remember.
Mine was for Chase Young to get 3 sacks.
Oh well,
He got half a sack.
He got half a sack. It feels like he was more impactful than half a sack. But yeah, fair enough.
The team got 5, so I'll
Pretty good.
Chase is just warming himself up. There's a small matter of the 2 boys from Ohio meeting a Mr. Mayfield in the coming weekend, and I feel certain they might have been talking about that on the sideline towards the end of the game. Good to see. I think just from the defense, just smiles and that pumped up, and I do think potentially Wilkes being there might have had some impact. I don't think he is that fist pumping guy, but there was definitely a time where some players came off the field and he's got quite an intensity about him, I think. And he was just, you could see he was greeting the players as they come off the field and giving them a smack on the chest. And there was an intensity in his expression there, which I think is his style. So I do think it potentially has some impact. So, and it certainly didn't do badly, did it? It certainly didn't affect
for sure.
play calling, I think.
As Lee said, it is actually impossible to see whether that made a difference or not. But I much prefer seeing him congratulate Mooney Ward after the deflection in the end zone, and give him as you said, a chest bump and that kind of stuff. I much rather see that than having him in the booth clapping his hand, or not even, because you're kind of detached from the game. Whether it had an impact or not, obviously my 3 points were very tongue-in-cheek. But whether it does or doesn't, I don't really care. I much prefer having my DC on the sideline. I think the eye test, it looks better to me. It feels more natural. It feels right to have him here and being with the team he's coaching. I think that's better. And I do think it had maybe even a slight impact, but it's impossible to quantify, of course.
Well, Fred Warner said that it did, and to be honest, Gareth, like, I'm smiling. The Jags getting 0 interceptions was a bit of a shock coming out with this one, because they were leading the league with 18, and Brock had been turning the ball over. So I'm glad that I got that one right. I'm glad that I got 50% with Debo. I love that play. I love it when he comes across and it's an end around and you've got the rushers out in front, and it's not a rushing touchdown. So I'm gonna obviously.
It was that one was. I'm pretty sure.
Is it classed as a rushing touchdown?
Yeah, because it was a toss backward. He should have got tackled though, and then CMC could have had his touchdown. All of the people that scored the touchdown should, especially George, instead of walking in end zone, should have taken a knee.
And you called for Club 85, Gareth. Kittle
he did
that touchdown.
He did. The thing about the Debo touchdown, it's something we've talked about. This wasn't anything about Debo's particular skill set, but if you watch that play, I mean, he isn't the fastest guy. I mean, he's a very powerful runner. But if you watch that, he's barely touched because of the work the O-line does. And I think with that's the sort of thing. Why don't we see Ronnie Bell or Ray McLeod do that play? Because it didn't need to be a guy with Debo's skill set. The O-line just ploughed the road for him, and he's barely touched.
I don't know. It is a particular skill set. I think you have to have a bit of a running back in you to be able to run that play properly, because you have to run. You have to read lanes and gaps. Yeah. It's not as simple as get the ball and run behind the guys. You still have to. It goes fast. You have to be on.
Oh yeah.
You got to give credit to Ayuk and Jennings in that play. As well. I've seen the all 22, and again, we've always said in this offense you've got to block, and maybe that's why the likes of Ronnie Bell, Danny Gray, Ray McLeod, they're not big-bodied receivers, so they're not going to be using that play. But you're right, Gareth. Just seeing him weaving in and out Debo, and he just strolls in untouched. But yeah, maybe she should have just took a knee. As Matty said it.
No, somebody had
I'll do a lateral.
Somebody had a hand on him and just kind of slipped off him, as he always very often do, and just kind of like peeled off him, just because that's what you can't tackle Debo. I know I don't think many people can run it the way Debo does. Even though it looks like anybody can do it.
So I think with that just about wraps it up.
Yeah.
Since we have managed to keep it to a slightly shorter show, hence why Lee has been so quiet.
Editing is hard. I get it.
It's time consuming.
Yeah,
it's very time consuming.
Appreciate the work you boys do after me and Paul just rabbit on, and you guys have to work your magic. So thank you, lads. Thank you for joining me, and thanks to everyone who listens and watches the show. What did you make of that performance? Let us know in the comments when we post the pod. Sorry to say we won't be back in our usual slot recording on Thursday night, as all four of us will be inexplicably busy at the same time. Would you believe it? But as we do love you all very much, we will see if we can sort something out over the weekend. So enjoy your victory week and safe travels, everyone, and go Niners.
Go Niners.
Bang, bang, Nine again.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't get it twisted, one and all with prime time. John Taylor, Jerry Rice down.